Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to Monday's English lesson. I hope you've had a lovely weekend. As you can see on the LC today, we're going to try and identify features of formal and informal writing. We're going to be looking at this today and tomorrow. Okay, so concentrate on those two words, formal and informal. So what is formal and informal language? Okay, there's different ways of speaking to different people depending on where they work, how well you know them, what position they've got. So the difference between formal and informal language. Formal language first. Formal language is used for more official and serious purposes. I like to think of it when you don't know a person or they're working in an important job and you've got to try and impress them. And when you're speaking with formal language or writing with formal language, you need to make sure you use the correct grammar, the correct way of speaking, and standard English should always be used. Okay, it's not like you're talking to your best friend or something like that. That would be informal language. So, informal language is used for more casual and less serious purposes. Slang words, joke words, taking shortcuts with language, chatty language can be used. Okay, so imagine informal language is the kind of way you would talk to or write to your friends, your family, people that you know really well. So formal language first on the left hand side. It uses a serious tone. You've got to be serious when you're using it. You're not joking or messing around. You use the correct grammar and punctuation, and you use the correct vocabulary, the correct words. So we don't use slang. Now, going over to the other side. Now, this is what we're going to concentrate more on today and tomorrow. Informal language is the language we use most of the time. We use a chatty tone, like we're talking to our friends. You can even use text speak, the way we shorten things. I'm sure you know what things like LOL would mean in a text. If I said to you, something is sick, that's a slang word, a word that means very good now, but in its correct term, in a formal way, sick does not mean the same. Okay. Now, we can also use contractions and abbreviations. It's or TV. If it was formal language or formal writing, you wouldn't say it's, you would say it is, or TV, you would say television. Okay, so try and avoid informal language, writing or speaking, using contractions and abbreviations. They're not good. But for our purposes today and tomorrow, informal is what we're looking at. That would be fine. So, examples of when you might use formal or informal writing or speaking. You can see that informal in blue, talking to friends, like we mentioned, sending a text to a friend can be informal. Or if you're writing a letter to your gran or your mums and dads, you would use informal language. Times when you might use formal language, talking to the head teacher. If you were talking to Mr. Thompson in the corridor, you would greet him with a hello, Mr. Thompson. You wouldn't say, all right, mate, how are you doing? Because that would not be an appropriate way to talk to the head teacher. Also, if you're writing an application for a job or you're trying to impress someone, you speak in the correct way. You wouldn't just say, giz a job, for example. I don't think that would have a very good impact on the person you're writing to. And imagine writing a letter to the Queen, somebody who's really important. Okay, you wouldn't write a letter to the Queen in the same way that you would write it to your own grandma. Now, I wonder if you can work out, have a read of these sentences on the screen and see if you can work out which ones are informal and which ones are formal. So remember, informal, chatting to a friend; formal, when you're talking to somebody you don't know or you're trying to be serious. So, we were just hanging out in the park. Is that something you're likely to say to Mr. Thompson or a friend? or mums and dads. For those of you who said informal, you'll be right. That film was sick. There's a word we've already mentioned just before. That film was sick. Definitely an informal way of writing. I regret to inform you that the swimming pool is now closed. Yeah, you wouldn't say that to a friend, so that would definitely be in the formal side. We've repeated that sentence. And what do you think? We've got a contraction there and slang. So instead of saying, what do you think, which would be more formal, this would be an informal sentence. Okay, so hopefully that's given you some ideas. Now, for your task today, I've put some work in your portfolios that will either look like this one up here, or this one you can see at the bottom. Okay, for the one at the bottom here, you've got to separate these statements and put them into either something you would text message to a friend, or a way of speaking to in a letter to your head teacher. So you sort through those and put them into the correct column. If you've got this one up here in your portfolio, what you've got to do is rewrite the letter. This is on the left-hand side. So if you rewrite the letter on the right-hand side using informal language, okay? So I won't give you too many more clues other than that, but you need to write and choose informally which one of these two choices would you have. So if you were writing an informal letter to a friend, would you say hello to them, or would you say dear sir or madam? Okay, so if it was your mum or dad, would you say dear madam? Okay, you have a good think about that. Which of those phrases would make the letter informal? And if you can write that on your template, that'll be fantastic. I will give you a second task tomorrow relating to formal and informal language. Good luck with today's work.